No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Sunny Sunday morning. Having weathered the big snow, that's okay. It feels good to be together and starting to turn our sights to spring a little bit. Anybody else getting that kind of spring fever thing going on? Yeah. We had a wonderful weekend here. I want to take just a moment to send out just immense, huge thanks to our Mighty Men of Unity for an incredible auction. Hey, would the Mighty Men of Unity just stand? Let us love you a little bit here. Let us love you. fabulous and very, very fun auction on Friday night. I want to give special thanks to Ed Rosequist, who took charge of that. There's Ed over there. Be sure to give him a hug and big thanks. We raised about $4,500 at the auction, which will buy a lot of landscaping and furnishings for our new addition. So just so grateful. And another $450 or so for our Youth of Unity to help fund their trip to their next trip, their spring rally. So a lot of cheesecakes, yeah. So I want to thank all of you for your donations. We had just such wonderful offerings this year, and almost everything went. Almost everything found a new home. So thank you for your love and your generosity. Those of you watching online who contributed as well, we send our love and gratitude to you too. Well, unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We follow the teachings and the example of our way shower, Jesus, in seeking to more fully love ourselves, love God, and love one another. And from that beautiful consciousness of love here in unity, we honor all paths to God, all names for God, and all expressions of God. Every one of you sitting here, every one of you online, never forget that you are an expression of God. We know that when we really get that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, we tune into that beautiful divine light that is the truth of who we are, and we behold that lovely light in one another. It just shines all the more brightly into the world. Our vision at Unity Renaissance is, together, a spiritually awakened world living in peace, love, and joy. And we are manifesting that vision through our mission, which is, together, we transform lives that transform the world. Let's begin our time together this morning in prayer. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, filling your lungs with this beautiful spirit energy. Release and let go into oneness. As we come together this Sunday morning, we are so filled with joy and gratitude. So grateful for the opportunity to be together in spiritual community. Today we come together both virtually and here in this room with open minds and open hearts, ready to receive what our hearts most need to hear, and then to turn that into enlightened action from this point forward. We give thanks for the blessings that we receive in our lives and take a moment to appreciate the blessings that we are. And for all of these many gifts, for this glorious day and all that flows from it, we say thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Let's all stand now and sing our next song. You are the love. have you guys.
Well, good morning, Unity Renaissance.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Reverend Maestro.
Good morning, Paul.
And how nice to have the Renaissance singers with us today.
I know.
Thank you. Only 10 voices today, and they just sound great. It's amazing.
Sound like 20.
Sound like 20. Yes. Well, my name is David Leava, and obviously I'm your platform host for today. And I'd like to begin with our daily word. Our word today is forgive. Please recite with me our affirmation. As I forgive, I know the fullness of divine love. God's love flows freely to all who will receive it. Only as I forgive, however, can I fully experience God's love. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore wrote, "Forgiveness is the art of putting something else in place of the thing forgiven. That something else is, quote, the positive realization of the truth of being. When I discover a thought arising about myself, or a person or incident I have resented, I need not condone what was done or left undone. I need only release the thought and focus on the eternal truth that every person is the image and likeness of God, regardless of what they may have done or failed to do. Even if my new feelings are slow to respond, my act of forgiveness is complete." Our scripture today is from Matthew 6:12, "And forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors," a familiar phrase to us all. Each Sunday, we have prayer chaplains available to meet with you across the narthex in our small chapel. Today, our chaplains are Jess Downey, Sheila Downey, and Shelley Myers, if they would please stand and identify. You can tell by their shawls. And I have to say, a few weeks ago, I, for the first time, met with the chaplains, needed help, needed some grace, and they were just wonderful. I highly recommend, if you have to share something that's a problem, or if you want to share a joy, they are there to spend time with you. Thank you. Now, may we all stand to do the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on me.
I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow.
If I fail and I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be.
I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow.
If I fail and I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And if by chance that special trace that you've been dreaming of, that leads you to a lonely place, find your strength in, find your strength in love.
A big scandal broke out recently on late night TV. It was about carpool karaoke. Anybody familiar with carpool karaoke? So Carpool Karaoke is this program featuring James Corden. He's the host of The Late Late Show. And in Carpool Karaoke, he's driving his car, presumably to work, and he has seated in the passenger seat next to him either a celebrity and or quite often it's a pop star. And so they have a little conversation, they banter, and then they start singing, and it's just great fun. It's really fun to watch. When you see it on TV, it looks like this. And it's just great, right? And by the way, this is the best of them, so look it up. Paul McCartney's absolutely wonderful. One day, someone who was observing from a distance saw the show being filmed, and in the car were James Corden and Justin Bieber. It didn't look like that. It looked like this. James Corden was not driving the car, and in fact, the car was being towed. Well, the person who saw this, of course, posted it on social media, and what followed was just explosive outrage. Explosive outrage over this idea that he wasn't really driving the car all this time. People unleashed on him, on the program, on the network, on liars in general, on life in general. One woman even said, "This is why I don't trust men." Seriously. So finally, James Corden went on his program, and he was completely transparent. And he explained, he said that 95% of the time, I am driving the car. In 5% of the cases, which included this particular episode with Justin Bieber, we have the car towed because we have something planned for the broadcast that it wouldn't be safe if I were driving. Like maybe they do a costume change or they're dancing or something like that. And then he showed the 5 times that they have actually had the car towed, and then these long list of scrolling names, all the times that he has actually driven the car. Well, this was kind of a funny thing, right? But it was also very revealing. His explanation of the truth, posted on YouTube, got 19 million views. I find that very revealing. What that tells me is that we're all pretty tightly wound right now and hypersensitive to anything that smacks of deception. You can go ahead. So every day we face it seems like a new bombardment of rhetoric around fake news and alternative facts and competing ideas of what's true and what isn't, different views of reality, conspiracy theories. It's just kind of crazy making. It's like living in chaos. So in that situation, we would do well to follow the lead of Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, who at a different time in his life was really feeling overwhelmed by the different ideas about, in this case, spiritual truth. And Charles Fillmore wrote, "I said to myself, I will go to headquarters." Headquarters, of course, meaning he would go to God. In the middle of all this, he said in this Babel, B-A-B-E-L, meaning bedlam, just discord, and all this noise, I will go to headquarters, I'll go to God. And he did that through prayer and meditation. Of course, we can also go to headquarters through prayer and meditation. It's a wonderful way to come back into alignment. And we can also do it by remembering and reconnecting with the teachings of our way shower, Jesus. Now, what did Jesus have to say about truth? Well, I had a lot to say about it, and here are a few of the particular scripture passages that stand out. First of all, he said, as we know, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And then a little later on in John, he says, for this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. So we're thinking, okay, right after that passage, not yet, thank you. Right after that passage is when Pontius Pilate asks him, well, what is truth? And he doesn't give Jesus a chance to answer. And of course, we might wonder the same thing, right? What is he talking about here when he talks about truth? And he says this is what he came to testify about. Well, of course, he wanted us to be honest. He wanted us to live moral lives and to tell the truth in our daily life. But when he talks about this higher truth, it really does seem like something bigger than that, almost another dimension, another level of being. And surely an important aspect of this other level of being is to know the truth about ourselves. And so with that in mind, he offers teachings to help us know the truth about ourselves, and this is one of them. He says, do not judge so that you may not be judged. It's basically telling, come to know yourself. One way to do that is to stop blaming and criticizing and projecting onto other people. Do not judge so that you may not be judged. For with the judgment you make, you will be judged, and the measure you give will be the measure you get. Remember that thing that you were pointing? You got fingers pointing back at you. Then he says, why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, let me take the speck out of your eye, while the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite! First, take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. So notice that he's not saying in here that we shouldn't notice when there's wrongdoing. He's not saying we shouldn't notice when there's an injustice even. He's just saying before you become fixated on other people's faults, do something about your own. Clean up your own house, if you will. Or what we might say today, stop projecting your shadow onto other people. So who here is familiar with the shadow? Our shadow is who we really don't want to be. Really, our shadow is like we just would love it if that just wasn't there at all. Our shadow is all these aspects of ourselves, these traits that we try to deny and hide because we're either ashamed or we're embarrassed. We're afraid if they're known that we won't be loved, or possibly that we won't even love ourselves. And so we push them down. It could be traits like anger, or judgment, or pettiness, or bullying, or envy, or greed, or lust, all those 7 deadly sins, all those things. On some level, we know they're within us, and so we push them down so that we don't have to face them. But it's just like a beach ball. You may push it down under the water, but what happens? It pops up somewhere else. And when we're denying or repressing these traits that we don't want to face within us, often they pop up with a vengeance in our condemnation of others. This is what Jesus is talking about here. He's saying, take stock of what's going on, heal what needs to be healed inside of you, pay attention to it, be aware of it, so that you're not then projecting that out to others. In his own way, he's talking about the shadow. Richard Rohr writes, Jesus' phrase for the denied shadow is the log in your eye, which you instead notice as the splinter in your brother's eye. If you do not recognize and name your own log, it is inevitable that you will project and hate it elsewhere. Well, now you may be thinking, what log? What shadow? I don't have a shadow. Okay. Take this in. From Debbie Ford, who wrote a book about and a film about the shadow effect. The shadow can be seen in the person in our family whom we judge the most, the public official whose behavior we condemn, the celebrity who causes us to shake our head in disgust. If we understand this correctly, we come to the startling and sometimes sobering realization, take a deep breath, that our shadow is everything that annoys, horrifies, or disgusts us about other people or about ourselves. We don't have to look far to discover that we are usually doing the exact thing we are judging others for. It may show up in a completely different way, yet the driving force behind our behavior is, in fact, the same. This isn't fun, is it? And you may be thinking, do I really have to do this? Do I really have to face this? Jesus says yes. He says yes because as long as you're denying these aspects of yourself, you can't see clearly. See, you're kind of on the run in your own life. You can't see clearly. You have a log in your own eye. You must do something to clear that log. You see, and he's not saying that we're bad because we have a log in our eye. We all have it. He's not trying to take us down a notch like, hey, don't get too full of yourselves. That's not Jesus. He's talking about paying attention to it so we can come back into our wholeness. He's really saying, get real with yourself. Face these aspects of you that you're hiding or denying. Accept your past mistakes. Heal your old wounds. Acknowledge that these are parts of you, because actually when you acknowledge, when you bring in that awareness, it actually begins to diffuse the power of them. It's when we're stuffing them down, we're exerting all that energy, that they begin to show up in our lives in destructive ways. When we bring in the light of awareness, it's like bringing in love and compassion and forgiveness for ourselves. And as we do that, as we turn our attention to these parts of us, we may actually find that they have value. And there's another way of using them in our lives that can be incredibly valuable. You know, used in a mindful way, they can serve a good purpose. We can actually turn that whole equation and use them productively. Debbie Ford writes, if the villain inside you is angry, you must forgive this part of yourself and consider the possibility that anger is exactly what you need to fight against some injustice or oppression, or to get you out of an abusive situation and back on track to creating an amazing life. You see, the anger isn't the problem. It's what we're doing with the anger. You know, when I read this quote, I have to say it really spoke to me. It spoke to me in a very personal way, because a couple of weeks ago, I was in a conversation with someone, and in that conversation, I began to feel personally attacked. Whether that's what was really happening or not, that's how it felt to me. And I found myself getting really angry. My heart started racing. My voice started shaking. And the first thing I felt was ashamed. Oh my gosh, look how angry I am. You know, we ministers are not supposed to get angry. You know, as you know, we are elevated beings. So I had to deal with this because I obviously was angry. It brought my awareness to that, and rather than condemning myself for it, began an internal conversation. Okay, I'm angry. Sometimes I get angry. I'm human. And that's okay. That's okay. Now, how can I channel that anger to some productive use to improve my life or the world? You see the difference? You're not denying that it's a part of you. You're not denying that it's seated in you, but by bringing in the light of awareness, you're actually capitalizing on it to do good. Marianne Williamson, a great spiritual teacher, says that we all have within us a presence, which she calls the illuminator. I love that, the illuminator. It's really the presence of God. But I like this term, the illuminator. She says the illuminator is the bridge between our shadow self and our light. Anytime, she says, that you feel lost in darkness, you can call on that illuminator within to help distinguish between truth and illusion, you see, to bring you out of the darkness and into the light. And one way of doing this, she says, is to simply say, I am willing to see this differently. Or if you don't want to word it that way, you can certainly word it as a request. Some people prefer that. God, please help me see this differently. Help me be released from what I am telling myself here. Ask and you shall receive. So one sure way of telling whether we are aligned with truth is how we feel in our bodies. Even just becoming bodily aware can tell you sort of what's going on for you. If you're aligned with truth, if you're living and acting from your place of integrity within, if you've addressed these aspects of yourself and you're clear and you're living on purpose, you know how that feels. You feel whole inside. You feel assured. You feel peace. You may even feel a sense of passion and purpose. But when we're living in untruth, when we're lying to ourselves, when we're projecting our shadow onto other people, or when we're believing, as we say in unity, that we are separate from each other and from God, we feel that also in our bodies, don't we? We feel it as anxiety and stress and fear and maybe depression. We may feel this overwhelming urge to fight or flee. We're out of alignment. We've stepped away from the truth. But we can bring ourselves back to that truth, and when we do, we come back to our own center. Jesus never put it out, I kind of wish he had, but he didn't actually say, okay, here is the truth, people. But I do believe these were aspects of it, the truth. That you are deeply loved and cherished, no matter what. No matter what you've stuffed down, no matter what you've been through or what you've done, you're loved. We are all works in progress, and that's okay. And we all also, at our purest level of essence, have within us this brilliant light of God. And to this light, the darkness is as nothing. You see, knowing this and claiming this, we can begin to live fearlessly. We can begin to live as fully expressed human beings who honestly can change the world. So here's an example of one such human being. Her name is Edith Eva Eger. Anybody heard of her? When Edith was 16 years old, she was sent to Auschwitz. And there she endured some of the most terrible circumstances we could ever imagine. She was separated from her father. She saw her mother go off to the gas chambers. Every day she would witness others in that concentration camp electrocuting themselves on the barbed wire fence. And when she would go during the day to take a shower, she never knew if water was going to come out or gas. You see, she was experiencing all of this, and we hear this and we think, well, we certainly would understand someone being filled with rage and hate and anger. She didn't take that route. Instead, she integrated her experience, and she consciously chose a way of being that would allow her to not only live and survive through that, but thrive and go on to be a leading advocate in the world today for peace. It was all through the choices that she made, and she actually has a book out called The Choice. And here's how she applied it. When Edith was asked to dance for Dr. Joseph Mengele, you know who that is, the angel of death, responsible for the torture and murder of millions of Jews. When she was asked to dance for him, she closed her eyes and chose to imagine the music was Tchaikovsky, and she was dancing in Budapest to Romeo and Juliet. When the German soldiers took her blood twice a week, telling her it would help them win the war, she chose to tell herself, I'm a pacifist, I'm a ballerina. My blood will never help them win the war. She soothed the pain of her mother's death by repeating to herself over and over, the spirit never dies. She refused to let any outer occurrence kill her spirit. If I survive today, she told herself, I will be free tomorrow. Edith is now 92 years old. She's a renowned, compassionate clinical psychologist. She's appeared on Super Soul Sunday with Oprah. And she knows that by integrating the darkness of her experience, rather than succumbing to hate, she exacted the sweetest revenge on Hitler. She said, I wouldn't hold on to any anger toward Hitler. If I did, he would win the war, because I would still be carrying him around with me wherever I went. You see, like Edith, we have the power of the light within us to overcome any darkness. You know, realizing that when we accept what is, she had to accept what was to survive that experience. When we accept what is on the outer as well as within us, it doesn't mean defeat. It actually is a catalyst for consolidating our power and using it for good in the world, for standing up and being that light of truth. You know, we are living in such difficult and divisive times, but they're also rife with opportunity. We, more than ever, I believe, are being called to rise up in consciousness, to transmute darkness into light, to heal ourselves so that we can be a healing agent for others. Never doubting, never forgetting that the light is stronger and more powerful than any darkness, and that the truth will set us free. Let's turn now to our meditation. I invite you to close your eyes, breathing in deeply. And release and let go. One more time. A nice deep breath in. And as you release, let go of any cares or concerns. Let them drop from your shoulders. Breathe into peace. Feel this palpable sense of the love of God within you, this beautiful light and love, enfolding you, supporting you, reassuring you. Know that this presence is the heart of your very being, the illuminator, the light, the clarity, the truth. I invite you to breathe into this awareness, allowing this light to shine into every corner of your psyche or subconscious, any place where you might have hidden something away. Let the light of love touch the hurt places, the frightening places, areas of embarrassment or even shame. Feel the light permeating all of it. And listen for what is yours to do in healing and going forward in the silence. We give thanks for this clarity growing within us. We give thanks for this spiritual process of transmuting and changing what needs to be changed. We know that as we remove the log from our own eye, we will see clearly. And even as we see injustice, even as we see harm happening, we'll not be controlled by it, but rather centered and strong and ready to go forward to make a difference. Thank you, God, for this knowing. Thank you, Jesus. And so it is. Amen.
Flow, Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Show, Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love.
Now is the time in our service for the sharing of our love offering in support of this amazing spiritual community. I invite you to give in a spirit of gratitude and hopefully joy, knowing that you are giving to something that makes a difference, hopefully in your life and in our world. Reminding you that if you wish, you can give via your smartphone. Simply text the word GIVE to 540-418-1228. It'll get you all set up. I want to take a moment to thank once again all those who are giving via text to give. Certainly simplifies our processes, makes our life easier, and we're grateful for every single penny. So as you hold your gift in your hand, let's bless it together with our offertory blessing together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. turn to gratitude within, feeling the blessings of this day. Hello, Violet and Gavin. Good to see you both. We're so grateful for these gifts shared in a spirit of love and generosity. We appreciate the gifts. We appreciate the givers. And now we send these offerings forth to do God's work in the world through us as we transform lives that transform the world. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Thanks, you guys. Now it's the time in our service when we welcome those who are new to Unity Renaissance. If you're here today for the first, second, or third time, we invite you to raise your hand nice and high, holding up the appropriate number of fingers, 1, 2, or 3. We've got is it 1, 2, or 3 back there? 1. That's a 1. We got a first timer back there. Awesome. So if you look in that bag, there's a little card in there. Fill that out and take it into the bookstore, and you can get a free CD that's a copy of a previous service. When you come back next time, this isn't working. We're going to need a different mic here. When you come back next time, you get 2 CDs. One is positive, uplifting music from Empower Music and Arts. The other is Sacred Unity Recordings. And on your third time here, you get a copy of the Daily Word. So welcome. So glad you're here today.
Oh, thank you. I could try to be loud.
Our live streamers, thank you.
Yeah. Well, Tom Baker, our beautiful and divine Tom Baker, is completing his 4-week class on matters of the heart. The last class is this Tuesday, the 25th. It's called Heartfelt Communication. It's from 7 to 9 o'clock. And if you want to participate in that class, please be here. Or if you want to do it online, sign up on the sheet out in the hallway. And please put the words online if you want to receive that broadcast. Paul will send you the link.
I'm very excited to be offering this coming Saturday, a workshop on finding yourself in transition. If you're finding yourself in your life right now, kind of in an in-between state, saying goodbye to one way of being or some aspect of your life, moving into the new, and you're in that sort of unsettled space, that's what this workshop is all about. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Saturday. Asking a $30 love offering for that, but no one will be turned away, so don't let that stop you from coming. It is based on the book Finding Yourself in Transition by Reverend Robert Brummett. It's a fabulous book, so you might pick that up in the bookstore if you're interested in coming to the workshop. And yeah, just sign up on the hall wall and it'll be great.
Now our next item, our Reverend Maestro, Master of Music, Richard Mekdeci, the long title.
Reverend Maestro, Minister of Music.
Minister of Music.
Yeah, our.a.m.
Is going. This is an interesting, detailed class he's going to be offering. So he's going to talk to you about it.
So the 12 powers, it's something that's kind of uniquely Unity, and Charles Fillmore associated the 12 powers with places in your body and colors. They are basically 12 attributes that we give to God that are present within us. They include faith and love and will and understanding and so on. And Charles Fillmore wrote the book, The 12 Powers of Man. It's very dry. It's very, very scholastic reading. But Paul Hasselbeck and Cher Holton have redone it in this book, Power Up, and that's the book we're going to be using for our class. And he calls them powers revised as accelerated abilities. So we're going to be going through those in 5 weeks. So it's going to be a quick review of the 12 powers, and I hope you all will attend all the classes. You can do it for credit if you'd like. If you're looking to be a licensed teacher or a minister, you can take this course for 10 hours of credit. It's also going to be televised, live streamed. So when you sign up on the hall wall, be sure to put that you want to watch it at home so they can send you the link. And basically, you're going to learn how to master these 12 powers to recognize a place where you need more will in your life, or more faith, and then know what to focus on in your body, what color to visualize to activate that power. So it's one of Unity's basic teachings, and I hope you'll join me.
Thank you, Richard. So we're going to kick that class off a week from tomorrow, which is a Monday night. The reason we're doing that is that Unity Renaissance is a polling place, and March the 3rd is the Virginia primary, in which you're all going to vote, are you not? Yes. There we go. Good. Love hearing that. But we have to close the church on that day, so we're going to kick this class off on a Monday, but after that, it will be for the next 4 Tuesday nights from 7 to 9. So it's my pleasure now to bring up the wonderful Ginger Zarski from our bookstore with a fun announcement.
Good morning. So I'm here to announce the kickoff of a new project. Can you guess what that project might be? Oh, yeah. It's a Unity Family Cookbook. How many of you have been involved with an organizational or a workplace cookbook before? I have one from my former workplace, and I really love it because it's my grandmother's recipes in a nice bound book and not on a dog-eared piece of paper stuck in an old cookbook in the cabinet. So I'm excited about this. Today I'm asking for 4 team leaders, people to come forward to lead 4 portions of this project. We're going to need someone to lead a team to gather recipes. We're going to need a team to design the cookbook with the help of the company that'll print it. Of course, we don't have to do it from scratch. We're going to need some advertising sold so that we can pay for the printing without any out-of-pocket expenses, and we want to market the cookbook as wide and as far as we possibly can. So if you're interested in one of those categories and you'd like to lead a team, it doesn't mean that you have to do all the work. It just means you organize the people and keep things going and on schedule and keep checking in with folks. Please come and see me in the bookstore after the service, or you can email me at bookstore@unitywen.org. I'll be calling a planning meeting very soon, so please come. And while I'm up here, I'm going to shamelessly plug our raffle in the bookstore. We have a beautiful painting by a former Spotlight Unity artist, Faye Pledger, that we're raffling off. Tickets are $5 each or 5 for $20, and the winning ticket will be pulled on March 1st after the second service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So speaking of putting our values into action, I'm very excited that we're going to host this Friday night a screening of a film called We Cried Power. This is a 45-minute version of the documentary. It chronicles the history, at least to some degree, of the Poor People's Campaign that was led by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and then also talks about what is being formed now as the Poor People's Campaign under the leadership of Reverend Dr. William Barber. So we'll have a chance to review the film, have some good discussion around it. This is sponsored by the Poor People's Campaign, their local branch here in Hampton Roads, so free admission. It'll be wonderful discussion. If this speaks to your heart, I invite you to join us here this Friday at 7 o'clock.
And in our ongoing film series, the next film is The Last Dalai Lama. That will be on Friday, March 6th at 7 o'clock. It's a portrait of the 14th Dalai Lama, and will feature interviews with his family and the people he has inspired since his exile from Tibet in 1959. And by the way, the music for the film is composed by Philip Glass, very important composer.
So we have a preview for you.
I think basically, I'm short temper. You see, something goes wrong.
Shadow.
Immediate reaction is to say, oh, shouting. Particularly, those are my sort of staff member here.
What I hope for in our exhibit, after 80 years, are there certain things you see in all these photos that are characteristic? I would say this person's the real deal. This is a man who could be afraid of a lot of things he's not, and he's not afraid of death. He's not afraid of growing old. So I want to grow up and be like him.
The idea was to convey a sense of how I felt about the individuals I painted. And I've got great affection for His Holiness. I was fascinated by his lips. And in pursing his lips, he conveyed a sense of joy and inner peace. That's what I tried to capture.
He may be the last one in his lineage that will come back as the Dalai Lama. with a formal recognition of the continuation of the institution.
At the end, I think last breathing, if my mind clear, I'm quite sure I will remember while I'm dying, remember about actress, entire sentence being. So that I'm quite sure I can practice the moment of my last breathing. If some accident happen or aeroplane go down in the sea, then I don't know.
Film. Looking forward to that. I want to thank Ginger Zarski for recommending it. It's perfect. You know, we're celebrating the season for nonviolence here, and so it's just a great fit for that. Well, believe it or not, Lent is beginning this Wednesday. Another sure sign that spring is on the way. We don't do a whole lot formally around Lent here, but we do observe it, and we have a particular activity that we sponsor here. It's called 40 and 40 to help you develop the habit of saving. And so you have the opportunity to get a little piggy box, as we call it, and to each day over the 40 plus days of Lent, save $1 a day and get into that habit. And then at the end of it, when April 12th, which is Easter, bring in the contents of your box and contribute it to the church. And then after that, continue on beyond that, saving for yourself. Also want to mention, the boxes are available today out in the narthex. Marcia Austin has a little table out there. She'll get you all squared away with that. We also are passing out today the Lent booklet from Unity World Headquarters. So if you didn't get this when you walked in the door, please see the ushers as you're heading out. I want to take a moment to thank everybody who contributed to our AED fund. Woohoo! We raised more than enough. Really excited about this. So we'll be going out there and getting that ASAP, and hoping we never have to use it here, but if we do, it can save lives. So thank you all for your generosity and caring. One quick announcement. I've been doing this series on what would Jesus do. I'm going to interrupt this series for a couple of Sundays here. Next Sunday, we'll have a guest speaker. It'll be Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones, who led us in those beautiful 2 workshops on depression. He'll be talking about, what is the name of his, I wrote it down and I didn't bring it up. What's that? No, he wrote Guru in the Glass, I know that, but he's talking about how to manifest your dreams, how to tap into your deeper passions. He is an incredibly inspiring speaker. He's very well informed, really a find for Unity Renaissance. So please plan to join us next week for Curtis. And then 2 weeks from today, the wonderful Margaret Jenkins on our board of directors will be speaking. So I'll be up for a baby shower for my daughter, but Margaret's going to knock it out of the park. I already know that. So that's what's coming up. So be right here the next couple of Sundays. And with that, let's stand now and welcome in our children. What you learned today, Gavin.
Okay, before you start wondering where the others are, they all stayed home. And I am the only kid today, so instead of being taught, I'm tutored.
Ah! You're being taught.
Oh, and something else, I will share what we learned today. So we did a little TED Talk video on this kid named Peyton Halston, I think. He had ADHD and he was sharing about ADHD, and he also said ADHD was his superpower. And I have an affirmation because I had all the jobs today. Okay. God creates through the power of word.
Oh, Oh, God creates through the power of the word. I love it.
And what that means is also we learn about the power of words and powerful words you can say.
Great. Wow. Way to knock it out of the park there, Gavin. Anybody here? Oh, you want to sing a song? Oh, my God. You're just too cute. Okay. What would you like to sing?
God takes care of me, and I take care of you. I smile and give you a hug to share God's love with you.
Small but mighty. Love it. Love it. Love it. Hey, before we close out today, I got two folks I want to invite up here. One is Hazel Gaines, and the other is Humphrey Aronzo. Come on up here, Humphrey. Get on up here, dear. So today is Hazel's birthday. And tomorrow is Humphrey's birthday. And Humphrey, these are both just amazing people. Hazel, as you know, is a member of our board of trustees. She's a non-voting member of the board. And the wonderful Humphrey's been here for like forever, helping steer us on our sound team, and they just give so much love. So let's stand together and sing happy birthday to him, shall we?
Happy birthday to